Hi everyone, welcome back. So we're going to make the tree of 5 fruits today. And I'm going to start with, for the frame, I'm going to do 16 gauge round copper wire. It's cut to 16 inches long. And I'll show us how to create this shape. For the tree sculpture, I'm using 36 feet of 28 gauge wire, copper wire. I have a 6-inch cardboard here, and I've spooled it 36 times. So overall, this is 36 feet. I have, for my canopy, my green canopy, I have a mix of tiny green peridot chips and green apatite chips. They range from about 2 to 4 millimeter. For my multiple fruits, I have some strands of 1 and 2 millimeter faceted, they don't have to be faceted, crystal quartz or Chinese crystal, I think they call them. I'm not an affiliate, but I'll try to help you find some of these 1 and 2 millimeter faceted beads. They're super fun to work with. They're cute, they're blingy, they've got a little shimmer to them, and they make just wonderful little berries for our green canopy when we tie them together. So you can get a series of beads together that you like in the 1 and 2 millimeter size. These are some iolites, and I think these might be these are green garnets right here. They're kind of seed bead shaped, they're 2 millimeter, and then these are carnelian beads here in 2 millimeter. I think these two are the two real gemstones I have. The rest of them are Chinese crystal and faceted and more like 1 millimeter. Okay, so that'll make a neat blend. So cut your 16 gauge frame wire to 16 inches. So to start my frame, I have a straight piece of 16 gauge round soft copper wire. I've straightened it out with my fingers. I'm not too concerned about the lumps because I'm going to hammer this. So if you have little... To start my measure for the frame, I'm going to take my 16-inch length of 16 gauge round soft copper wire, and I'm going to lay it against my 12-inch ruler. Just put the end of the wire to the end of the ruler and mark 8 inches. That will be the center of your 16-inch wire. So I'll get my Sharpie marker and I'll make a mark right here at 8 inches, and that will be the center of my 16-inch wire. Then I'll take my center mark and I'll move it down to the center mark of the ruler, just so that my wire is now centered on the ruler. And I'm going to mark the rest of my frame bends. I'll go ahead and put this down here so I can show you. So from the center mark, I'll come to the right 1 inch and make a mark. I'll come to the left 1 inch and make a mark. And then I'll come to the right another inch and make a mark. Come to the left another inch and make a mark. And then another inch to the right and make a mark. And another inch to the left and make a mark. Okay, so 6 inches is the center of my wire, and I have 1 inch marks to either side of it. 3 1-inch marks to either side of it. To make my frame, I'll take a nice hardy plier, since this is a big wire, and I'll get on my center mark with my plier, and I'll just get right to the edge of that center mark. And I'll go ahead and hold my thumb right here and push a really sharp bend into this wire, not quite 90 degrees, but it's more like 120. Okay? Then I'll go to my second mark, get right next to it. Hopefully you can see this okay. Put your thumb right against that mark and push straight up so that your wire is now back to horizontal. And we can tighten these up in a minute. Come to this side. Since I was just to the outside of my mark, I'll make sure that I do the same thing over here. I'll just hold to the outside of the mark, put my thumb right here, and make a bend so the wire goes straight back up to vertical. I'll find my next mark. I'm going to hold it right here just to the inside of the mark. And I'm going to make a bend back towards the center of my frame. And you see this is my last mark here. So your goal is to get that mark, over the center bend here. And then come to your mark on this side, hold it just to the inside. Use your thumb and make a sharp bend back to center. These two last marks right here should crisscross right above the center, the bottom center point, okay? And you should be on a nice level plane here, okay? And you can just fiddle that a little bit until you have a nice shape that you're happy with. And you want the bends up here to be about the same 120 degree. So after I get them bent and crossed, I look at the overall shape and, this needs to come out slightly because I went a little bit too far. I'll bring it back in slightly. Cause some tension on it there. So my 2 points hit in the middle, and I have a nice six-sided frame for my tree. And then right up here at these marks, to get the bail to go back up, you'll grab just to the outside of that mark, hold your thumb right there, and bend the wire straight back up to vertical. Turn your plier so that you can get the same grip. Do the same thing. Hold the mark, hold your plier right there at the mark. Brace it on your thumb and turn it straight up to horizontal. Mine crisscrossed a little bit, that's okay. You can sharpen this back up if you go a little too far with one. You just use your fingers and get the bail going straight up the center there. And that looks pretty good. And that would be your frame. Okay? We're going to hammer all of this, and then we'll do our tree sculpture on it. All right, I have my nice bench block out. I'm on my sandbag to help reduce the noise. And I'm going to use my chasing hammer to hammer this. It's got a nice flat head on it. And I'm going to start hammering the bottom center, then I'm going to work my way left and then up the sides, okay, and back to the point. So let's just start by tapping all the way around to flatten the frame. Just hold your bail wires together up here. And I'm not really doing anything to change the shape, I'm just tapping to get the frame flat. Striking with the middle of my hammer, and I'm just doing love taps all the way around the frame. And that looks really good. So I think what I'm going to do, just for some interest, is I am going to flare out a little bit at the points. So rather than, hitting all the way around, I'm just going to hit consistently on each point And as I strike it, I'm just going to pull back slightly. You see what it's done? Maybe 6 or 7 times if you need to. Just try to keep it consistent, just a little flare there. Then I'm going to turn my frame and I'm going to do the same on this point. Try to strike in the same place consistently. All you're trying to do is flare out just the little tip and not the wire in between. And I'll come to this side and do this one. Just like that. Now up here to the shoulders. And that's pretty cute. You can look around your frame and make sure they're consistent in the way that you like them. I'm going to hit this one just a little bit more. And I really like that. Actually, while we're here, let's go ahead and tap the bail too. So keep your wires together up here at the neck. We're just going to strike lightly the first inch right here to harden it up. I'm barely tapping it. Just to get it a little harder right there at the neck. All right, that looks pretty good, you guys. So I love this frame. Looks kind of like a 3D cube, right? From here, we'll go ahead and sculpt our tree out and put it on the frame, and then we'll flip the wires over the back and we'll hide all those little back wires with the rest of the frame wires going on up here. We'll go ahead and wrap the neck of the frame up now. I have 12 inches of 22 gauge half round wire for the bail, and I'm just going to bend down the first 1 inch here. The flat side of the half round is to the inside of this bend. And I'm going to put it on my frame right here at the neck. Just hold on to that 1 inch so that you have some leverage, and then wrap up. Start with 3 nice tight wraps. Make sure they're settled there on your neck. Give a little tap with your plier, and then just wrap for 1 inch. I'm just going overhanded, and after about 5 or 6 or 8 wraps, just give a little tap and flatten those out. Make sure they're nice and side by side. And I'll keep going for another 1/2 inch here. You can go longer if you like a longer bail. I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter than normal. I usually go about 1 1/4, 1 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to make this one a little bit smaller. As you wrap, work to keep the flat side of the half round against your frame wire until you get your length. Keep your wraps nice and side by side. So I've got about 1 inch there. And at the end of your wrap, you should have a couple of inches here. I think I've got about 2 1/2 inches, maybe 3, to come back over the neck once we bend this over the frame. So I'm going to cut away this little starting fragment here. And I'm just going to tap all this down. We're not going to bend it over the frame yet. We're going to build our tree first. So just go ahead and leave your frame just like that. We'll go ahead and start with our tree wires. To start my tree sculpture, the first thing I'm going to do is actually get some tape kind of ready and off to the side so that it'll help me out a little bit later when I need it. Peel off just about an inch here and just of painter's tape and just stick it to the side there and ready for you. So I build a lot of these and then I make a little flipper here and I spool up all these wires and I keep them parked, you know, over in the cabinet there until I'm ready to make a bunch of trees, and then I can pull these out. So I'll release my 2 loose ends out of my catch here. And I'm going to cut these wires off of my cardboard spool. And just for looking consistent, I'll take these 2 long ends off. So I'm going to hold all these wires together like we normally do. There's a lot of wires here. So I've got everything under my thumb. I've got everything underneath my fingers over here. I'm close to the top so that I can have some leverage. I've got my cutter with my blades up, and I'm going to slip underneath here, and I'm going to slowly cut these wires off of this cardboard. Make sure that they're all cut, and then all together, hold on to all of them together and peel them off your cardboard. This is the bottom center now, and this will be where we cut the other half. So just right here, just treat them like a strand of hair. Hold it all together right there. And cut all that in half. Just like that. Make sure all the strands are cut. And now to get rid of these little curly ends, you'll want to do this over your garbage can, because once we cut them all off, they'll spray into the garbage. But while you're holding them here, you're just going to cut the upper 1/8 off, you know, just these little tips, not much more. Okay, so I'm going to dip over to my garbage over here and just trim off those tips and let all of the fragments fall into my garbage so that I have 2 ends here that are very nice. I still have my 2 halves split, and you'll just treat them like hair. Slowly work over to the other side while you got them in your hands. See, they catch if they're curly right here. So that's why I cut them off. And I'll show you how to cut them off up here, but then you should do it over your garbage can. So just so you see how the hands go. So here are my hands. I've got my wires separated. I'm going to point into my garbage, and I'm going to cut just the very tips of these wires off. If you do this on your desk, make sure you're over some paper towel or some paper, and make sure you have a nice sharp cutter so that you're not struggling these cuts. Okay, just like that. They're all nice and even, just like a nice haircut. These little shards are sharp. They can act like splinters, so scooch them out of your way if you did this on your paper, and then pick up all the paper and throw it all away together. Okay, just going to scrape them out of my way for now, off my board. Okay, so now we have our 2 strands of nice 28 gauge. They feel like hair. They're real soft. And I'm going to kind of meet them, find the center of them, you know, here in the length. And I'm just going to put this little piece of tape. I'm going to just cross them a little bit right there so that I know where the center is. Normally we would twist these two strands together, but we're going to do a little different sculpture today with the base. So I've got them crossed in about the middle, and I'm going to take my tape and I'm just going to put my tape right here in the middle of them to help me hold those two halves together, just like that. Got the upper half will be for my branches and the bottom half will be for my tree trunk. And this is about split in the middle here, okay? So down here for my trunk, I've pretty much got my two halves, and I've got them kind of crossed over each other. And I'm going to split them up so that there is like a smaller third chunk here on top. I'll just take a little bit from each side. So now I've kind of got like these three main pieces to my trunk. I'm going to take one of the bottom ones and I'm going to do a real soft turn towards the inside. Just another really soft turn and kind of smush them together like that. And then down here at the end, just do another really kind of soft little turn like that. Okay, so you just got a nice, let me change the camera so you can actually see this a little bit better. So I've just got really nice soft bends, or twists, I shouldn't say bends, going down this wire. And I'll do the same to this side. Just going to go in the same direction to the right with a twist up here at the top. Just a nice long kind of twist like that. Not too tight. I'll leave some space here in the middle. I'll smush them all together with my hands. You can almost melt this wire. And then right here towards the bottom, I'll just give another little twist and kind of firm all that up. Okay, kind of like that. And then this one up top, same thing. Just some nice long, soft twists with some space in the middle. Keep the strands together. About a third of the way down, you know, doing a tighter little pinch right there. All right? And then all three of these, you can kind of put this one is in the center, so put the two back ones together. Just do like a nice bend over each other. You're just trying to get them work together into these soft turns. Not quite a braid, but, you know, kind of just a loose raveling of them like that. So you have some definition in between them, but they're soft as well in the trunk. Now just with my hands, I put some deliberate smash on them. Okay, so now we've got kind of these three pieces here. Just give that some interest there. Widen it out here at the bottom a little bit. Just kind of hold them, but stay soft and keep the strands together. Okay, so your trunk has some nice soft interest there. And now with these, we'll just split them up into roots so that we can hook them to the bottom of our frame, we want to always make sure that the tree fits within the frame of interest here. So I've got my roots going on here. I've got some nice little twists in the body that are soft. I'm going to part them out up here for branches. But now I can, kind of split these and use them to tie onto the bottom. Okay, so I like what's going on from right here to right here is kind of my tree trunk. About right there is where I'm going to split them up into branches. So if you want, I might just twist them a little bit more right in here. Just make it a little more gnarly. Get it a little more interesting. Try to keep these strands from fraying. I'm going to have to go check on Jolene. My sweet girl. Try to keep those strands from fraying. Kind of like that. That's pretty good. So now down here, when you get your trunk looking the way you want it, we'll just split these with our fingers, each one of these. You can do a real tight turn right here to get them together. Split them, and then just twist them together to the ends. And these nice long twists like this. The tree will stay together more once we get more of the twisting done. These don't have to be split up completely evenly. Just twist them all the way down to the ends. Split this one up. Make one nice big one here in the middle. Split these two up. Do nice long soft twists all the way to the ends. I think Jolene calmed down, you guys. It's the train coming by. We have a train several times a day that comes and blows the horn. Drives her nuts. We thought she'd get used to it a year later, or 2 years later almost now, but no. All right, and my last roots are right here. Split them up. Give a nice twist to get them together. Don't go too tight right here. Remember, that's the bottom of your tree, so you want to make some interest there. You don't need to make it so tight. And then we'll tighten them up down here. Just split them up. And just twist them all the way down. You could have split them and twist them more, but for this design we'll just make some simple roots. Some nice big roots. So multiple fruit trees are like they've spliced together, I think, a bunch of different fruits. Looks really neat. So it's kind of like these 3 pieces might be 3 different trees, right? That we've kind of put together here for our different fruits. And it's a little bit loose right there, so just hang on to it all. If you need to put another piece of tape there once you've got them twisted out like that, then go ahead and do that to help you hold your nice, your nice sculpture. And I'll just do that because I don't want this to unravel down here while I'm working the top. Just a little piece like that. Then I can get rid of this one. Woo. Just tear the tape. It should come off fairly easily. Don't stress your branches out. Don't pull the threads out. I've got this one down here holding it all together while I bend up the top. Okay, and that's about the distance of my trunk right there. Once I put my tree roots up on the frame, the trunk will go to about here, and then the rest will be a branched out canopy. Okay, so up here, I'm just going to put this against my frame. I'm going to split this in half and have like one main trunk and a main trunk and a main trunk coming up, and then branch out from there. So in the middle, and I know that we just overlapped, you know, the two, and it's okay if you just start a new center in all of these, hold it right here so your trunk stays nice. Just split them in half. And on this side, I'm going to do one major twist here to get them all together, maybe 1.5. Up here, watch the direction of your twist that's already going on. It goes this way, so I'll go ahead and just split those right there and twist out in that direction. Okay, so I went ahead and peeled the tape off. Be really careful not to tear apart your tree when you do that. And on this side, you can see on the back, I kind of just, you know, have two openings here, or two halves of the branches, I mean, whereas we had 3 pieces of the tree trunk when we started. So I just want to show you how mine are done. It's kind of just a light twisting of each other, you know, around each other like this. And so the reason I take the tape off is because now there should be a little bit of a shoulder attachment since we just blended the wires up here. If there's not, you know, you can take one big twist all the way around and make a connection right here so that it holds. And down here in the roots, we can kind of make some interest now that the roots are twisted up by just separating these branches a little bit. Keep it a little more wide to the bottom and a little more narrow to the top, and try not to let them fray like this. If they fray, we can just pinch them. If you can't get them, you can lightly tap them with a plier to help them back together. But just make a nice, interesting tree trunk there by opening them up a little bit. And when you get what you like, I like that, go ahead and hold it right here, and then just make sure that you've got your, you know, roots in such a way that you can kind of secure this shape by wrapping the one most on top, which for me is this one here. I'm just going to take it, come lightly around everything. You don't want to change the shape of your trunk. And I'm just going to bring it over the front and then drop it down here. Okay? So that just kind of helps to hold that little bit of the bottom together there until we tie it to our frame. Okay? So now up here in the branches, well, actually, let's pick the frame up and we can take a look at what we're doing. So our tree's going to kind of look like this. You know, the whole thing for me here, I'm a little bit tall, so I'm going to shorten this a little bit now that I've got them kind of in an interesting arrangement. And I can shorten them simply by kind of, you know, fanning these out a little bit, and I can shorten the entire trunk. So I'll take my plier, dive into one of these spaces, kind of just open it up a little bit. Down here, pinch right here at the shoulders. Just kind of open that space up a little bit. Make sure not to cause any frays, and if you do, just lightly tap them down. And that's a pretty neat tree trunk. Now I can kind of squish it in together like that. And that just shortened everything for me. And again, you want to just make sure you stay smooth. Make sure there's no fraying. If there is, do very light tapping to get these wires back in order. I'll hold it up to my frame here, and I do like the placement of that. What I am working towards is trying to get my two main branches pointed to these corners and the V kind of right here in the middle underneath my bail. Okay, so this is probably 3/4 of an inch of a trunk. I have, maybe 5 millimeter down here to tie off to, and then I want kind of a diamond shape here, so I have the illusion of a cube with this body coming down the front center, just like that. If you have that, we're in great shape. I'm fraying a little bit here at the shoulder, and that's okay. I'm just going to pull some of this out now for branches. So I'm going to make one nice big twist right here, and I'm going to pull a tiny bit out to make some branches in this lower area, just like that. And I don't want very much there, just a few. Take the rest of them and do a little spin. Remember that this is my main Y branch going to the corners there. So I'm going to split this in half. Just keep pinched right here. Split this in half. Doesn't have to be a perfect half. Give a twist right there. Make sure that the thicker part is down here on the lower bunch, and then you just have this little pull out here for branches. Okay. Here we'll just twist one more. If you're getting frays like I am, just get your plier in there. Gently separate them. I'm not actually even pinching on them, I'm just separating them with that plier head. And I want this one, the one that's going to be going to the Y shape part, to be my main branch. So I'm just going to part out another little one here. And then these two, I'll twist one more big time together, and one more together. Okay, so I'm kind of like that. I'm looking at my frame, and with my roots centered, you can see that my biggest branch is going to this shoulder here. And then I've got little ones coming off of it here and here. And I can bend these kind of back. I could have taken this one and made it a little bit lower, but that's okay. I can kind of back bend it. And then I'll do the same over here. Just part some branches out, a tiny little one below it, and then maybe one, here and another one here, and have your main thickness go to this shoulder. So here I'll just pull out a little from behind it and bring it down here for a tiny little branch. And then I'll pull one way up here. took it from the top so that I could lower it a little bit. And that'll be kind of one to the inside there. I could also just make that a little bit thicker. Just make yours the way you want it, you know, the way you're feeling it. If it gets away from you there, just make a twist. It's not a big deal. And we'll part those out. I'll go ahead and actually just take a little bit more and make a second one. I'm going to make one twist, one big branch twist here. I might make two. There goes one. Yeah, I think I'll do two. Nice and tight. Get them all back together here. And just take another little one to the inside there. So this is my main branch going out. Just like that. Okay. So now let's check our position here. And I like that a lot. I've got room to tie my roots. I've got room to make interesting branches up here. And I have my main thick branches kind of pointed at these corners up here. And we can direct them a little bit better once we start to tie things on. So I'm going to go ahead and start tying things on. Well, actually, okay, so we're not going to tie things on just yet. What we're going to do is start to break some of these branches out. This is such a neat tree. All right, so I'll start down here, and I'll just split these into two. I've got plenty of room on my frame, but we always want to pick the frame up and make sure that we're twisting our branches and things within interest, you know, meaning we want to make sure we stay within the picture. So here's my frame, and since I'm focused on this one branch, let me get back on here, you see, if I put my roots here and then thick branches to these corners, I don't have very much space, see? So I can kind of curve it if I want to and just trail some branches out this way there. This one's going to have a tiny bit of space. These won't have any more space to split, so we'll just wrap them around. And this one will be our main focus in here in the middle. Okay, so we're focused right here. Always check and see how much room you got. And I'll split one time here, and I might just wrap this one all the way over. Okay? So this one right here, just gonna wrap it all the way over. It's kind of tight. You can pull it out 90 degrees like this to help you twist. Just take your time. And you want to twist out so that you have enough space to tie around the frame with. So hold it up here and just keep twisting. Okay, and now this one, you know, the frame's right here, so I can split it. And you can do yours to your liking. I'll do a couple of little twists and then I'll split it again. And there's only one, literally now only one or two little wires to work with. Take your time. If you can't get it, you can get it with a plier and a real delicate touch. You know, but if you can just work them right in here, twist them out. Just enough to tie, so we don't even actually need to go the rest of the way because my frame's pretty much right here. And I'll do the same for this one. Twist a couple of times and make some tiny little twigs here. That should be enough to get me around that frame. If you need to twist right here again, you can do that. Let's get a real pinch in there, get a little tighter, and just leave those down there for now. Okay, this is the main branch that goes to the corner, so pretty much we know our corners right here. I'll put this back up so we can see what else we can twist out. So you see what we just did is here. I'm going to just twist these two big stems together, you know, a couple of little ways, maybe 3 or 4 twists so that I can get around this bar. But I'll start to split this one off, you know, up here and then this one. So this one I might just do 1, 2 more to help me get around that bar. And then I'm going to focus up here. Don't crush your tree, just work it delicately. You can push those slightly out of the way. Split this one. Do a nice twist right here. Nice and tight right there. Then you can split this one. Just do yours according to how you are feeling. I'm going to take mine, this one all the way out. It's probably enough there. And I'll split this one. This is the middle. Right here's my V-neck. So there's not very much space right here. Probably just twist these two until they go off the frame as well. Okay, that's good. This is my big one in the middle. I mean, at the shoulder, and I'm just going to do like that for now. Okay, so here's our little corner so far. And then now I'm going to work on this one. This is the middle, top middle. Just keep these separated nice. You can just kind of fold these back a little bit. Make sure that the fray is out of there. And then take it and split it. Doesn't have to be split even. Do 1 and 2 to get a nice branch. And I'll split this one. And I'll twist a couple of tight times there. This one I'm just going to twist all the way out. I won't split it again. That's probably enough. And then this one, I'll split and twist all the way out. I like to twist them past the frame so that it's easier for you to wrap them back around without having to deal with these little squirrely ends here. Just get it all working like one cable, like one wire. Okay, and then I'll do this one. And I'll just wrap this one out as well. You do yours like you'd like. Okay, and that's pretty good for the one side there. That looks nice. And we'll do those, we'll rearrange these once we get everything twisted up. Okay, just make sure your body, the trunk stays together nice. And then we'll just work around the tree. Now let's go up here to this one. If you need to scooch things, you know, you can just lean them over. It's not a big deal. Pull them down. So you have some room to bend, to twist these guys. So this is my upper middle. I have the most space here, so I'm going to try to get the most interest out of these branches here in the middle. Split that. Twist it a couple of times and get deep into the middle here. I'll split it again. And I'm going to twist. I've got 2 on this side and 3 on this side. So I'm actually going to split these. You know, just go ahead and twist these all the way out. So I had like 3 little twists there, and now I'm just going to, you see I made that little segment there, and now I'll just split them here and twist out. Makes a very fine little twig, but it'll be a nice sculpture with a lot of detail. Then we'll do this one. There's only 3 here, and that's fine. Just get them parted, and then just, you know, do like crow's feet here and twist them together. Just those 3, and twist them all the way out. Just do what you can. If you can't quite get them all, you can kind of twist them up like that, and then take your plier. Hardly grip at all so that you don't wreck this wire, because it's very tiny. But you can also twist them up like that if your wrists start to tire out on you. Okay, so that's 2 of them. I'll split this one, and then I'll take this one all the way out as well. And you can scatter the thickness of your branches here just by, you know, adding wire, and by adding wire, I mean I got 4 pieces here, it's very thin. I have 2 pieces here, it's a little thinner. I have a lot here, it's a big thick branch. You know, that kind of scattering of your splits. Like, I'm not making sure I'm perfectly in the middle, I'm just splitting them and taking them as they go. You just do yours the way you like. Just keep working until you're happy. Just keep your wires under control. Just make a beautiful tree. Take the time to make some interesting branches. You have that nice diamond in the middle to fill up. That's why we're splitting these into some nice tiny twigs, so we have some good interest in the middle of our sculpture. Ooh, those are getting little, so I am going to get my plier. Just like that. Now I have this one. And do a couple of big twists. Then before I continue, I'm just going to check my placement here and see where I am on my frame. Put my tree back on the bottom. I have nice branch works here. My main branch is going to the shoulder. Here's my other main branch. I gotta lift it just slightly. Keep it going that way. That pushes all those up. Here's my main shoulder branch, my big one here. Okay, so I could twist, I could just finish twisting this one out because there's no place else to split. And then those are good. And then this is the last one. I could just do a couple of splits here. And then I got my branches. Okay? So I'm just going to twist this one all the way out. Enough so I can turn around my frame. That's pretty good. This one I don't need to do anymore because it's my big shoulder one, so I'll just put them together. And then this one is my last one. Just keep your little ends under control here. And here I'll get at this branch. And it's lower and it's a little bit thicker, so I'll make 2 or 3 big twists right here. I forget how much space I have. Oh yeah, I think I have actually quite a bit. Alright, so I'll split this one. And then I'll twist it all the way out to the end. And then I'll do the other one. And that's it for the branches. We'll start attaching to our frame after this. And like I've said in my other videos, the reason I do the tree sculpture off of the frame is so that, in the event that your beautiful sculpture gets carried away and doesn't fit your frame, then you can always, rather than wasting anything, you can always do up another frame that might fit that beautiful tree. That's beautiful too, right? This one is a rectangle. I think I accidentally showed you this one. But this tree could just as easily go into this frame, and that's gorgeous also, right? This one is the same frame you made. The difference is that this one is all 1 inch. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This one is 1 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 1.5, and 1 and 1. Okay, so same frame, treated the very same way, and you could have 2 very different pendants. And so anyway, what I was saying is, if this didn't fit my littler frame, then I would make a bigger frame and not waste the frame or the tree, because then I could sculpt up a tree that's a little bit smaller to sit in the one it didn't fit in, right? So that's why I do them apart, so that you can enjoy both pieces and not waste either piece if at the end of the day things don't fit together the way you anticipated. And it gives you a lot of room for creativity, for modeling a real tree that you might love. These are called fruit cocktail trees, I think. Multi-fruit trees. This is the tree of 5 fruits for me because I have 5 different color beads. And but you could make the tree of 7 fruits or the tree of 6 fruits, whichever you prefer. All right, so that's my beautiful sculpture. I love it. I have 2 main big V branches that come out, and that will go right here into my cube at the upper shoulders right here and right here. And that's my beautiful tree sculpture. So I'm going to go ahead and start to attach to the frame now. And of course, the very first thing I'm going to do is attach at these shoulders and then one root down here so that I get all 3 points. So you don't want to move anything once you've got your tree placement here. If it's too thick to go one, as one big branch, just unravel a couple of them until you get right to the frame. Okay? And then it might be a little easier for you to turn and do, half through at a time if you want to. Okay? I'm just going to take this, keep all your ends together, take it through, do a 360 around the branch, don't around the frame, don't pull too hard, just get your 360 on it, just like that. Don't shift the tree. And then this one, you can just go right underneath it. These are the only thick branches, so everything else will tie quite easily. Just take your time with these couple of big ones here. We'll get on that corner. Okay, we've got a nice wrap around the corner. Whoop, I just hit my frame, my camera. And I'm going to come to the back and snip and get rid of it, but not until I attach everything else. Okay, so I just have it kind of pointed back. I'm going to get this point on and one of these, and then I'll get rid of those ends. And then we'll start to shape the branches. Okay, so here, I'll just get these guys out, the little ones out of my way. Make sure my main branch is coming up here into this corner. It's big, it's thick, but I've got a nice long lead. Just keep them all together. Move these branches out of the way so it doesn't snare. Just work one big cable in there together. Don't let your tree shift. Watch the bottom. Make sure the bottom stays bottom center. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like that's perfectly good right there. Gotta get it just a smidge bit tighter. And get that pointed to the back. Don't take the interest out of your branch. Don't pull it so tight that you make that straight. Just like that. Very nice. Whew. Okay. So let's get rid of these and then we'll start to scatter these into more interesting places and we'll attach the one down here. So let's come over here. Get to the back. We're going to cover these, these areas back here. We're going to sandwich these ends in. So just make sure you've got this nice bundle laying down the best that you can, close and tight to the frame. If you need to take a plier and get it a little tighter, just do the lightest taps. Don't crush your wires up. Just do the lightest taps right there at that big giant knuckle. And then take your cutter and cut away all of these wires right here, just to the back inside of that frame. Don't be afraid. Control this big stack of hair you cut off too, so that you don't get, the wire everywhere. And then just take your pliers, do a very gentle rolling. You're not crushing, you're not anything. You're just pointing those ends to the inside of the frame there. Okay, we're going to hide it all with beads, so don't worry if there's a straggle or two. Just get it tapped down. And then come over here and do the same thing to this opposite shoulder. Get in here and get a nice even fold right over the knuckle right there of that corner. Whoop. Get your plier, tap on it a little bit, don't crush it, and then get your cutter and get right in as close as you can. Take the snip, lay all that snipped wire down, and then just lightly tap and roll those ends down. Okay? I'm going to show you the great secret if you need it later on. And that should be enough right now to hold on to those. Okay? Looks pretty good. You fan these back out so that they are laying nice inside this cubed top of our frame. Ooh. Just rearrange them into some pretty interest. You know, if these are bent, just pull them straight. It's okay. And then come down here and, you know, reposition your little branches into a shape that's interesting for you. I'm just going to cross them here and there. And since they're straight, I'm just going to take my plier, do very light pinches to give some interest. And you don't have to do much, right? Just a little here and there to take straightness out or to pinch your little intersections there, tighten them up if need be. Okay, that looks great. Here I'll spread these out and take some of the straightness out of these branches. Just crinkle them up a little bit. Okay, just kind of like that, however you like. You can do it with your fingers too. Just crinkle them up a little bit so that they're not so stick straight. And make some interest up there. I love that. This little one over here. Okay, that's pretty good. So now let's get down here and we'll get one big anchor down here on the bottom point, and just whichever wire works out good to get your anchor. Like this one is convenient, it's right there, it's at the back of my frame. I take it and wrap it around. Can move these two. I like to start in the center because then you can work out, you know, outwards. So I've got one nice wrap. That's all you need. Clip it right there. Nice and close. Just enough to get it to lay down on that back frame. Take a plier on it. A little tap and roll. Tap and roll. Try to keep it from fraying. Okay. All right, you got one nice anchor back there. And now you can just, now you can start wrapping all of this stuff around the frame. Okay, and you can start wherever you please. I like to get rid of these big thick ones down here first. So I'm just going to come to the front, and what you're looking for is just some nice beautiful interest. You've got a little ways on both sides that you can take these around. You don't need to go crazy, you just need to go do your 360, you know, wrap around there and then end it right there and get it real tight. As you fold each one, just kind of migrate out where it's comfortable and convenient and doesn't cause too much bulk. I have some nice wide pliers. Help me tap that down. Then I'm going to take my cutter and cut it right there on the inside. Take my wide plier and help me just tap, and don't roll too much, but just point them down and inward. Okay, here's the front, so that's nice. And again, we're going to bring a second wire, you know, we'll drop the frame, so we'll sandwich all those ends in there. Okay, so I'll go to this side now, make sure I keep some nice interest on both sides. If I need to fill it up, I'll go wrap twice, right? There goes one. Just go a little ways. I'll take a clip right there. Take my big plier, nice tap. Take my sharp cutter, right through the whole stack at once. Wide plier and just tap and roll lightly and under control to the inside of the frame there. Just stick all those points down. Try to cut them so that they don't come too far to the front. I'm going to show you the great trick, the great secret. So don't worry, but just keep them as neat as you can. So here goes my next one. I'm going to make sure always to look at the front of my tree. Take this one. You don't have to go so tight either. You can drop it a little lower, give it a little more interest. You know, like that there. Swing it down a little bit. Bring it back to the inside. Come to the back. Tap it with your nice wide plier. Get your nice sharp cutter right on top of it and to the inside. Get rid of all that. Go back to your wide plier, tap, and just do a slight roll to settle those stubby ends down. Just like that. Work patiently. It's a beautiful sculpture you're making. That's gorgeous. Okay? Don't worry, it'll all stay. And so now I'll take this one, see where it goes best. Probably I'll try to get rid of it somewhere over there. If I can't swing it anywhere without causing trouble, I'm going to cut it and right here. So that's probably actually what I'm going to do. Mine's not long enough to go comfortably. Careful that you don't snip your tree or anything you don't want to snip. So just cut it right there. See all those ends? Right there. You can do it even with your fingernail. Just tuck them in there. Okay? So if it's easier for your fingernail to work these ends, you can do that too. Sometimes I do that. My fingernails are another tool. Alright, and one more. That is so pretty. I can't even stand it. That's so pretty. So this one I just swing over here. I got some space over here. Just give some interest. Bend it in. Take it over my frame right there. Maybe even leave it a little bit long right there to fill space. Go all the way around. Just do yours the way you want, the way it looks nice for you. Take it to the back. Squish them all together a little bit. And now from the back, take a nice sharp cut. And then tap all that and roll slightly to the inside edge. Just like that. Okay. The back's beautiful too, this tree. Here's the front, and it's gorgeous too, right? Okay, nice roots. So now let's go do the fun part, our branches. And again, if there's a little bit of looseness, you can always get a plier in there. Slight pressure, but no squishing. And just help you turn that branch a little tighter, that's all. Okay? And now I'll take these ends and come out and wrap around all the way around the frame. You do yours. Keep control of your little ends right there. Okay, so I'll come up here. You start wherever you'd like. I think I'm going to come over here and start with the right hand side. I'm going to snip some of this out because I don't need this much to get around this frame. So I'll snip out all the wiry stuff and just give myself enough at the twisted areas to get around comfortably. Get my little plier to help me just work. Since this is very convenient, since I have this big knuckle of wire, I'm going to take this little one and I'm just going to come cinch around it a little bit. Helps to keep it there, right? Nice and tight. Lay it down in there. Snip it off with just enough to roll it in. Get a nice wide flat plier. Give a nice controlled taps until it lays down in there, that big knuckle. We're going to cover all this up, so just don't make the knuckle too big, but we're going to cover it up, so don't fret it. Okay, now we'll wrap these two little guys, and so on. Keep working yours. Take that one to the back. I'm just going to hold it there for now and go wrap a bunch of these and then go back there and cut them off. Okay, just position them where you want them. Get your plier, do a nice tap, do a nice tap. Leave them there until you're ready to cut those ends off. Or you can do them as you go, whichever. Maybe I'll do them as I go so we won't confuse us. So I'm just going to snip them enough to lay them down and get them to the inside edge of that frame. Okay. I love that. Now I'll do this one over here. Cut off the majority of what I don't need there. Make sure you leave yourself enough to get around this at least 1.5 times. I could have gone around that knuckle, but I wasn't thinking. It's okay. Just like that. So long as I have enough that I can get my branch attached. Okay. Come back to the back. Tap down. Tap down. Take your cutter to the inside edge. Take the cutter to the inside edge. Only cut away that bit that you don't want. And then tap and roll a little bit. Don't roll too much. Okay, just like that. Okay, get some of this out of our way. Beautiful. Just keep working. Get rid of these here. Since I know the length that I need here, I'm just going to get rid of a lot of this wire. Leave yourself enough to wrap. Don't cut too short. I'm just taking the untwisted parts off the ends so that I don't have to deal with them. but I'm leaving myself enough to wrap around these wires, to wrap around the frame. Okay, so here I go. This one. So if you get a little fraying like that, just twist it up more at the end. It'll make it easier to help you come around here. Just keep your frays under control. Don't panic. Come around. Put this right on the inside knuckle of that bundle. If I can. There I go. That's pretty good. Tap it down. Cut it off. Then you can work on the back side too if you want to while you're here. Just go ahead and start wrapping your ends. Pay attention to which wires you're cutting off. Don't cut off your beautiful branches. And remember, we're going to tie beads, so don't freak out. Unless you want to leave this bare, you could do that too and just put a big coin pearl right here, a nice big moon. Ooh, that'd be gorgeous too, wouldn't it? Ooh, ooh. I might have to change my mind and do that. I won't change my mind on you. We're going to do the 5 fruits tree, but might have to do another one. Put a big moon right there. Ooh, be gorgeous. All right, so keep going. Just make sure that when you wrap, you're scattering these. You can overlap them like that, right? That's nice. Make it nice and tight. Come in here. Snip. Use your little ones too, but I kind of find like my flat ones actually work better for that. This one I'll just take right around it. The little one's good to help you get it to sew it in here like this though. Okay. Tap it. Cut it. Tap it. The next one. I'm working from the back side here. I'm going to go to the front side again here in a second. And my last one here, well, I have one more in the front that I'm not seeing here. Just bring these over. Get a nice wide plier, nice big hearty taps on it. This one's fraying a little bit, but that's okay. Just twist it. Then cut just those ends. Don't cut your branches. Make sure you get them the right one. Then get your wide plier. Turn those ends to the inside frame. Okay. And then here's our beautiful tree. Ooh, I have one more. 2 more right here in the middle. So I'll just tie those guys on, make like a little design in the middle there. Okay. Just like that. And then my last one. Just like this. Little tap up here. One more cut. And there it is. Alright, you guys. Beautiful. Just go through here. Give everything a nice tap. Settle your wires. I love it. Woo! What a gorgeous, gorgeous design so far. Okay. So we'll come back now. We've got this nice, beautiful cube. You see it? And we'll add some beautiful greenery to the canopy, and then we'll sew on our little 5 fruits. And you can do that however you like, but probably I'll, scatter them out so that I have kind of a rainbow effect in fruits here. Okay, so I'll see you in the next little part for that one, in part 2.